Today, on my way back home, I was hit by a car. I'm okay, honestly. I am okay. The elbow is a bit swollen. It probably needs a bit of icing. So it makes you think you can die in a blink of an eye. It also makes you think, what is my legacy? What am I actually leaving behind? Let me tell you something. Let your very identity be your legacy. Try and touch as many hearts as you can in your lifetime. Being good to people is probably the greatest legacy you can leave behind. I'm sorry, but I have to completely disagree with this statement. In my opinion, nowadays, customers have a natural dislike for big corporations, which are often seen as greedy, lying, and faceless. On the other hand, personal brands are individuals with unique personal qualities. The more trustworthy they are, the easier will be to generate trust among your shared user base. This can lead to more passionate followers and better initial customer relationships, especially if you're trying to penetrate new markets. My advice will be to use different personal brands to cater to different audiences. For example, you may want to develop two separate personal brands, each of which becomes an expert in two opposite fields. For example, I may like mirrorless cameras. John may like DSLRs. This will greatly help you build niche expertise in separate areas without fully alienating the audience of your core corporate brand. After talking for an hour about personal branding, I realized that people will not listen to you if they don't like you. How to change that? Well, you have to promise, and then you have to deliver.
Personal branding important? Well, in a word, yes. But in order to understand it completely, we need to talk about two things. We need to talk about social identity theory and brand behavioral values. And those two things, although they're separate, they're actually connected. And the moment we take everything online, they converge upon the individual. And we come to the question which we're trying to address now. I can talk about this pretty much all day, and we don't have all day. So I'm going to be as succinct as possible. Social identity theory essentially says that we join groups and we then enhance those groups through our behavior, sharing activities, judgments, biases, and so on, because the more powerful the group and the more enhanced it is, the better that reflects upon us. Brand behavioral values essentially say that a brand behaves in very specific ways, which project very specific characteristics in a consistent manner, which allows that brand to be recognizable. So if we are working online, or even if we are existing online, which is an intentional activity, we essentially engage in activities which are intended to both enhance us and the groups which we join by association, which then reflects back on us. And this is classic social identity theory. And we also engage upon activities designed to basically make us stand out from the crowd, which are essentially copies of brand behavioral brand behavior elements. So in a nutshell, what do we do when we get online? We use a conflation of those two to enhance our own identity, enhance the groups which we basically join, and reflect well upon ourselves. And in a manner of speaking, we're creating personal brands. So there it is, very quickly. I hope it helps.
The first and the most important part of building a personal brand is to be authentic. Don't insult your followers' intelligence. People can spot a faker from a mile away, no matter how convincing you think you are. When it comes to building your personal brand online, the biggest mistake I see is lack of clarity. So let me give you 3 powerful questions to help you take a strategic, thoughtful approach to growth. The first question is, who is your target audience? Who are you trying to reach online? And the answer cannot be everybody, because it just doesn't work. I'm sure you've seen this quote online a lot. If you're trying to reach everybody, you end up reaching nobody. The second question is, what is your value proposition? Or in other words, what type of content are you posting online, and how often? The third question is, who are you and how do you help people? These 3 questions are critical to really standing out and getting noticed online. One thing I want to say here is building your personal brand. You should try and be as human as possible. So for example, if you're an SEO like me, yes, you should be also talking about food, good movies, books. But if I come to your online profile, within 5 seconds, I should be able to tell what your core main value proposition is. Talking about online profiles, don't forget to come here next Sunday so you can ask me the questions and I can give you the answers.